Hello, my name is Jeremy, and today we're going to be covering the APGAR score, which is something that we do on newborns. So to start off with, APGAR is a way to record the condition of a newborn, and that's all it is. It just kind of quantifies in numbers a way to gauge how the child is responding to being brought into the world. So it's broken into 5 different categories. You have appearance, pulse, grimace, activity, and respirations. And each category is going to be labeled with points as a 0, a 1, or a 2. So the max score that you can get on an APGAR is going to be 10. The least amount of score that you can get on an APGAR is going to be 0. And they are performed at 1 minute and 5 minutes after birth. So the baby is fully delivered. Starting from that point, 1 minute later, you need to perform an APGAR score. And then in another 4 minutes after that, you need to perform a second APGAR score. And those are the only 2 you're going to do in most circumstances. The only instance where you will perform more APGAR scores or record those scores more frequently is going to be in a child who is delivered and their 5-minute APGAR score is less than 7. If they tally less than 7 points on the APGAR score at their 5-minute interval, you are going to perform another 3 scoring for an APGAR every 5 minutes up till 20 minutes after birth. And this is going to be kind of a way to gauge your resuscitation efforts and how they're working. But that 1 minute mark whenever you're performing your first APGAR, up to that moment, you need to be assessing the child and figuring out if there is a need for resuscitation, which we will cover in another video. So to start off with, going over each category, so APGAR again, it's going to start with A for appearance. Appearance is going to be, how does the child appear? How does that newborn appear? Is their skin color, is it completely pink? Are they completely pink throughout? And if that's the case, you're going to give them a score of 2. If they have a pink core but blue extremities, they're going to get a 1. And if they are completely blue, they're going to get a 0. And you are looking at this one item in particular whenever you're doing the score, just their skin color. It doesn't matter anything else with the appearance category. If they are completely blue, you're categorizing them as a 0 for that section. Next up is going to be pulse. Either they have it or they don't. So for 2 points, they are going to get. They're going to need to have a pulse that's greater than 100. Okay, doesn't matter if it's right at 100. Doesn't matter if it's 120, 140. If their pulse is greater than 100, they get 2 points. If you have a child that has less than 100, but it's definitely there. It doesn't matter if it's 20, doesn't matter if it's a rate of 30. If they have a pulse at all, but it's less than 100, they're going to get 1 point. If they do not have a pulse at all, if you deliver this child and they're in cardiac arrest, that is going to be a 0 for your pulse. And then you have grimace for G. Grimace is going to refer to their irritability. So whenever you kind of rub the bottom of their foot or you stimulate them, do they cry based off that stimulation? If they do cry, if they actually cry, then that is the point where they're going to get 2 points. If they just kind of make faces and it's like, I really don't like this, then that is the point where they're going to get a 1 point for grimace instead of 2. So 2 points for grimace is they actually have to make a noise. 1 point for grimace is they're just making faces. 0 is going to be no response. So again, if you stimulate the baby and you don't get any response, that's going to be a 0. Next up is activity. Activity is going to refer to their muscle tone. So if you're trying to wiggle their arms or they're moving around on their own, do they have active motion? Do they try to resist the movements that you do, whether that be at the elbows or the knees or whichever? If they resist that movement or they're actively moving, they're going to get 2 points. If they have some flexion of the extremities, but not a lot, that's going to be 1 point. And if they have no response whatsoever, they're just completely limp, that is going to be a 0. Right? And respirations is going to be for R. So if they have very strong cry, or they're breathing fast, that is going to be 2 points. for respirations. If they have a slow and irregular breathing pattern, that's going to be 1 point, because at least at that point they're breathing. So, and that's what this is. They're breathing slowly and irregularly, they get 1 point. If they're not breathing at all, they get 0 points. So if you deliver a child who's in cardiac arrest, they're going to have 0 across the board, and their initial 1-minute APGAR score is going to be a 0. But that does not mean that if you deliver this child that you're just kind of sitting there holding it for a second, or holding it for 60 seconds to do the APGAR score to start anything. As soon as you deliver that child, you need to start assessing and for the need for resuscitation. And again, we'll cover that in another video. But APGAR is appearance, pulse, grimace, activity, and respirations. Your max score is going to be a 10. Your minimum score is going to be a 0. If you have a child that has APGAR less than 7, you are going to perform an APGAR at 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, and 20 minute mark after their birth. If you have a child that scores above a 7 on their 5-minute APGAR, then you don't need to perform any additional APGAR scores after that. So 1 minute and 5 minute mark, and that's something that you need to remember. All right, and that's APGAR.